Hello everyone. Sarah here. Thank you so much for joining me for another submission to Craft Roulette. This is episode 116. I'll explain more at the end of the video, but as for now, I'll just say that the four parameters that we are using is pop-up. So it needs to either be a pop-up card, feature that has pop-up, or anything that is popped up on the card. Neutrals plus one color. It has to contain a light or lights, and you need to have the random parameter outside the line. So that most likely will be me coloring outside the line, which is not actually that difficult at all, since that is a pretty normal thing for me to do. So I'm going to grab a piece of watercolor, and I was looking through my stash, and the only thing I could find relatively quickly is these lights here. And this is a Simon Says card kit that I purchased some time ago. I believe it's Christmas themed, but I'm going to use it just as just because everyday card. I am going to use some archival ink because I am going to watercolor, and this should be once it's dry, it should be waterproof. Do that. So there's my image, and what I'm going to use is some Altenew watercoloring brushes, and I'm just going to use the one color, and so that will be my plus one. I'm just going to add some water here. Just I'm going to be coloring outside the lines, so that is why I can just get away with adding water all over the card like this. And I'm just going to kind of just color that all over the place. Now I'm just going to fast forward this really quickly while I do the same steps over and over again. I'm going to take my heat gun, dry it, add more color, heat gun, dry it, add more color. And I'm using the water pen to lighten it and then darkening it with the actual concentrated ink. I am going to focus on the candle specifically after I get that last dried layer, and I'm going to just keep going over the two candles just so that they are the darkest shade of this color, because you can only get so saturated with that color. It can't get any different than what the color concentration is. So that's the color I want the candles, and the rest of it can just be a mismatch of watercolor awesomeness. I want to make sure there's no white. There we go. So that is step number one. So I'll put that aside to make sure it dries completely before I need to use it. Okay, so next step is I'm going to start coloring my background. And I have the scrap piece here because I'm going to use that as a guide to inking up with some black soot. I have practiced a bit, as you can see, just to try to get an idea of what I want. But before I do the black ink, I'm going to grab some squeezed lemonade, because if I do this last, then the black and the yellow will mix together, and you'll get a nice dirty yellow instead of a nice bright one. So I'm just going to add a little bit of a spotlight here, just kind of going out like that. And that's all I need. That's it. And now let's go into the black soot. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a piece of tape. This is Spellbinders. This is Spellbinders low-tack tape that's meant for die cutting and whatnot, but I'm going to use it to keep this paper together. Don't need a lot, just enough so it won't slide as I'm doing this. Okay. And then I'll just grab some black ink and kind of dab it off because I don't want it to be too dark. I'm just going to go right across and fill it in. This is not an oxide. I don't know, does black have an oxide? But this is not an oxide, so you do have to be cautious of blotching. It's not as easy to smooth out as an oxide. I'm just going to, and that should be good enough. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move this, and I'm going to create another layer and just do something like this. And this one should be a little bit darker. Just make sure that my tape is actually sticking to it. There we go. The other thing you have to take in consideration is to remember to clean your mat, your in my case glass mat. The reason I say that is because for me it's a black background, and I forgot that it was inked, and I've done this before, and I get that all over the place. Okay, and now for the last piece, I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to just make it a little bit wider on the top left hand side. And let's go a little bit, I don't know, do I want to go darker? I might redo the other one because I went a little bit too dark on this one, which kind of hid it. So I think I'm going to just go a little bit darker on this one. A little bit darker. Just so that I can see that line a little bit more on the top there. There we go. Not much, just kind of redoing it, and that's it. So now that that's done, I am going to remember to clean my desk area. I'll just add a little bit of water and to make sure it's nice and dry before I continue. Okay, so next what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this base that I've been inking up, and I'm going to add my sentiment right about here. But before I do, I'm just going to kind of just gauge where this is going to go. So let me just cut out roughly my little piece, and I will not need the trunk, so I'm just going to cut that right down to the base. I think that's about good. That's good enough. Just making sure it is a little bit straight. Does that look good? It's hard to tell on this angle. Okay, so we'll put that there. And then once again, because I have the ink out already, I'm just going to use my archival ink. It doesn't need to be. Normally I would use my VersaFine Clair ink. I love that ink so much. But this is already out, so I'm going to use it. That's the only reason. This sentiment is also from Simon Says card kit. And it says, here's something to hold since I can't hold your hand. I thought that was kind of sweet. And it just worked so well. I wasn't planning on using it. It worked really well with this lantern that I have. That was actually hooked to a tree. So it goes to show you can actually repurpose an image. So next what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim this out of my watercolor paper, and I am going to leave a little bit of a border around it except for the base. Okay, so next what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some foam squares, sorry. These are from scrapbook.com. If you're looking to get some foam squares, these are actually not bad. I would wait for a sale. They usually sell their own products, like sometimes for half off for short periods of time, and that's when I would recommend to get them. when I am running low, I will wait for that deal and then I'll stock up. And they have a lot of different sizes. They have tape and like long tape and all that. Good stuff. I always go overboard with mine because I just don't like the feel of it being able to push down. I want it to be solid. However, no one really is going to go look at your card and push on it to see if they, if they like it. They're just going to love your card regardless. Next, or lastly, I'm just going to stick this kind of crooked. So it's kind of like, I want to position it enough. I wish I kind of put more black there, but that's okay. Just kind of positioning it so that that light that we put on is kind of flowing out. Okay. I wonder if I can just smooth this out a bit. Just so it's not so blotchy. Next, I just have to create my card base. It would have been beneficial if I had actually had this ready before I created my video, but that's okay. That's okay. Sometimes we just create as we go. I'm just gonna crease down this side here, fold it. Now you just get to see me make a card base. So always pros to everything. If you think that's a pro. Okay. And then I'm just going to be nice and simple, and I'm just going to glue that down. I'm going to glue that down with some ink. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. I'm going to glue that down with some glue. Barely Arts glue. Doesn't matter which one you use. You can use adhesive, liquid adhesive, tape. You could have propped it up with foam tape, fun foam. Oh, so many things you can do. We could have matted it. We could have matted it as well. So trimmed it down by 1/4 inch or 1/8 of an inch and matted it. That would have looked nice. Just we'd have to take in consideration that we only are allowed neutrals and yellow in my case. But lots of things you can do. But I just want to keep it nice and simple. Okay. And then to finish it off, let's just add some nice sparkle to the candle. Why not? It's not adding any color, so we're good. We're safe. Into the flame as well, maybe. And that's it. That's just the simple version of a simple card using the parameters here. So we have pop up, which is this item has been popped up. Neutrals +1, so we have our blacks and yellow. The light obviously is yellow. And outside the lines, as you can see, I colored this thing all outside of the lines. And just got my fingerprint right there. So I just wrecked that card. So what I would do is I would add an embellishment or something to that, or just recreate the card. That's okay too. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add some bling. That is a great way to hide imperfections. You just have to be careful that you do not add any other color because the rule states one color. So do I want to use, so that's colory. Let's use some of these whites and see how these look. I like these. These are from Studio Katia. I really like her embellishments. They're really, really nice. And so I'm just going to just play around and see if we can figure out how we're going to address this. Normally I wouldn't go out so far, but with my little sloppy fingers, I gotta figure out something. Definitely, this is what I was saying earlier, is you gotta make sure you clean your surface. And sure enough, I didn't get the black, I got yellow. Oh no, I did get a little bit of black here too. Oh my goodness, inky fingers everywhere. You know what? This is fine. This is looking fun. It's not a big deal. The reason I do these videos is because I really enjoy Craft Roulette and how it gets you thinking about different products that you have on hand and to try to create things that you don't normally do. So I actually expect to make a lot of mistakes as I'm playing around and learning. So the reason I make these videos is just because I like to show my process on thinking about a design and working on it. I do make these sometimes in advance and then recreate it. I did do that with this card as well. And then I do it for the video just because if it's something I'm not familiar with, I don't want to edit as much more, because when it's learning and you make mistakes, then you have to edit quite more if you're humming and hawing and what's not. So anyways, Craft Roulette is a place where you can go and try to be adventurous almost. Try to create cards with parameters that you don't choose, that are chosen for you at random. And then you can actually win prizes actually if you create a card and you submit it. I highly recommend it. I love it. I just love getting into my stats, trying to find things that I have and just having fun. So I definitely recommend checking it out. It's craftroulette.live, or you can check out their YouTube channel. They are live every Friday. So check it out if you have not heard of them before. So here is the other card. This was my test card that I created. So you can see that it's a little bit more cloudy. This is how I like to make it. But they're both really nice. And of course, I didn't need gems on this one because I didn't get inky fingers all over the place. I also made it a little bit different. I only put a spotlight here instead, but I wanted to see what it would look like if I spread it out. I think I like it the smaller side better. But these are the ways of learning. You don't know unless you try. Also, the lines are a little bit different. This one is much fuller than this side. But they're both really nice. I like them, and I'm very happy for what I have created. I do hope this has created some inspiration for you. Definitely check out Craft Roulette. It is a lot of fun. The community is great. They are very friendly, and you'll have a lot of fun if you love a good challenge. So until next time, take care and have a wonderful day. Bye.